Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning if you're in the Pacific. This is the Roaming Prepper channel, and I'm starting a little bit earlier than I normally do today. I had a meeting cancel, and then I wound up having an event come up this evening. So it basically was got to start early. So let's see who's in the chat before I go running my mouth here. Hey, Prep Rebel and Loretta, thank you for joining me. Um, Mimi, you caught a live. Awesome. And Lucky at work still. Yes. Technically, I'm on call. So I feel your pain there. Uh, Not away. Hello, hello. And hey, Beth, how are you? Welcome. So I think I got everyone. Did I? Joe Morgan. Answer to your last question, Joe. I have not shot the Raven yet. I'm not for those of you listening. I didn't shoot a Raven. It's a pistola. But anyway, not yet. Hadn't made it to the range. I will make a video of that one, by the way. Hey, Nanya, Klingon, what's going on? It sure did. So I actually, so the Hoover Dam, interesting. I did a post on it. Someone sent a picture to my wife on Facebook, and she sent it to me and was like, hey, the Hoover Dam had something going on. They're claiming it's a um, one of the transformers next to the generator. So the explosion took place on the downriver side. So you have the upriver side, which has those tall towers that intake the water. They go down the tubing and the tubulars, and then they eject by those generators. They haven't explained why that happened. And the black smoke is a bit weird, but it could be electrical wiring burning, which would give you a black smoke. Hey, Deuce, what's going on? Welcome, welcome. Um, hadn't made it to a range. Oh, good, good. Oh no, so off to the doctor. I'm sorry, Joe. It's been a lot going on, brother. Uh, Joe's had his hands full. Hey, Tony and Drop, welcome. So they're claiming because it was one of them. If you notice, it was if you look at the whole string, it was right smack in the middle. Uh, it looks like one of the generators the transformer or the generator caught fire and then it exploded. It was basically a big transformer explosion. Um, or so they're claiming. Now, I know that area because I actually got to talk to one of their engineers at the dam. That's not a public access area. Like, even if they wanted me to go to represent my company as a guest, I'd have to get special permission to go down there. Um, and unlikely a boat came up, but what he did tell me, and this was a year ago, they were modifying all the turbines to deal with the very low water and the low flow rate so they could still generate electricity because the dam used to be way high and now it's not. So the water flow is significantly lower. So right now it sounds like they might have been in the middle of doing some upgrades and somebody screwed up and blew something up. If you watch the videos, you see the explosion and the fire here, and you see these two guys in like hard hats and coveralls. They're running on that little walkway around the dam. They're like, yeah, and they're running really quick. They're going the other way. Um, Beth, they are claiming, not public material, but my class. Oh, right. Now you can go there, you can get the tours in those areas, but the general public gets that outer building. There's like that museum, and you can go in the elevator and see the observation deck. You can't go below unless you have a specific tour, like Drop's pointing out. Hey, Triple, what's going on? And hold on, somebody asked me a question up here and I lost it. No, well, there's been a lot of attacks on our infrastructure, or a lot of issues that I shouldn't say attacks yet. A lot of issues involving food infrastructure, fuel infrastructure, electrical, and they seem to happen, they seem to be accelerating. Um, but let me see, someone asked me a question. Oh, how will this affect electricity? They're claiming the other generators are online. They had to shut down that one and bypass it, is what I'm understanding. Um, in theory, I again, you're only hearing bits and pieces, so I don't know ultimately what the conclusion will be. Um, that would be a really convenient way to put, most of Las Vegas in the dark, is to, screw up the Hoover Dam. So really, really interesting timing with all the power related issues. They blew up, uh, somebody blew up that, yeah, on the Nevada side. So that's the downriver side, if I recall correctly. They have a bridge running across now. Originally, the only way you could get across the Colorado was that winding road. Then you had to go over the dam. Then you get the winding road on the other side. And now they've got a bridge connecting the highway. But the bridge has walkways where you can look down at the dam. And if you've never been there, um, the pictures don't do it justice. The massive size of this engineering creation that was put there is just mind blowing. Because you see that fire and the smoke in those pictures, and I promise you that building is probably 5 stories tall. So that cloud of smoke was, having been there, had to have been easily 200 feet of black smoke coming out. That wasn't insignificant at all. Hey, Tennessee, what's going on? Well, cutting some grass. There you go. Yeah, we cut our grass early Sunday before it became 103. Most of that power goes to Cal. Okay, so I guess they'd screw up LA or Bakersfield, or which is interesting because Bakersfield is also a big oil and gas and solar area as well. Super curious. Yeah, again, to somebody at this point, Survival Buzz, thanks for joining me, by the way. Everything is sus, as the kids say when they play that. What's that stupid game with the little spaceman? That they joke about all the time. Among Us. When the astronauts don't trust the other one, he says, "This is sus." That's basically what I am with everything I'm reading now. See, and that's another thing. With the part shortages, a lot of people are kind of uh, finagling their equipment to get it to run more, and it's they're taking steps that they shouldn't, and they never would have in the past because they could get apart, and they're trying to make things last longer. And I think at some point it's going to bite, and this may be one of those cases. This may be a case where it just bit them. Actually, Tennessee, to your question, no, it is real, and I'm trying to find one of the articles. Oh, excuse me, guys. Let's share this right hand screen here. There's no audio with this, it's just a still photo. Hey, Red. So, just to give you a sense of the size of the thing, and maybe it doesn't want to turn on. Oh, there we go. So, look at the size of the generators and the transformers here. So, you notice these, they have sprinklers already built in against the walls, if you look back here. But you see how small these firefighters are. And look at the size of that thing. And then this building's another 2 or 3 stories. So that's a really massive. Yeah, there was video from tourists looking down. That's how my wife got it. Apparently, a friend of her in a Facebook group sent it. Red, that is an absolutely good question. Now, because it's American made and very old, possibly, but man, that's a hell of a good question. And it's probably been upgraded since it was originally put in. I'm sure it has. So that's a big question, man. And in to be honest, that's going to be, we're going to start seeing, as Klingon pointed out, we're going to start seeing more of this as time goes on. Is, like the Texas infrastructure, the electrical grid has not been upgraded as fast as they had hoped, and part of it is they can't find parts. So we're going to start seeing these kind of issues and failures. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. That's a super good question. Uh, and it is a and hey, color, it is one of those things you may see more of. We may see more of this as time goes on, because the stuff we'd replace. Think about it right now. If I don't have to buy tires, I'm not going to buy tires just to be bougie. If my brakes start giving me an issue, I'm going to replace them when I need to. Companies are now doing the same thing. Even if they have the money and if they want the part, they may not be able to get it. So yeah. Hey, Vision, welcome. I'll tell you what, TikTok has become like a deranged Twitter, and I get a lot of neat little tidbits of information there. Um, but there's some bizarre stuff. I mean, there's some blatant people should be in jail, and it's in the comments, like the trolls run amok. Um, I mean, I don't know how some people do it on that platform. I mean, I put stuff out on the platform, but yeah, I don't do lives on there or anything because it's just a pain in the butt. Um, all the crazy woke people, dude. There's so many unwoke people there now, and they keep getting blocked. we the A guy and I who we'd collaborated on that platform, and then he got put in the penalty box for like 2 weeks. Like he just disappeared, and I'm like, oh, the KGB got him. And then he came back, and I got a message saying, yeah, I said something somebody got offended by. Um, yeah, it's just it's ADD, that whole platform. But I did want to talk about, because you notice the title of this one was kind of a little bit about regime change. Um, China's having some problems that I didn't expect they were going to have. And I'm going to talk about also, I have a premiere tomorrow. I'm still finalizing. Um, I'm going to talk about some political power plays Russia's done, not military, but political, that put other people in a bind. And I'm wondering how this is going to pan out. There's Countries are playing real hardball with each other, but okay, no, definitely. My new camp chef Tahoe 16. Oh, that's cool. That's possible. They may have them there, all backed up. They may have bought them in advance. Uh, no, and Loretta, that's if you've never read Some of All Fears or watched the book, although the book doesn't follow the movie very well. Some of All Fears, the whole premise is that the border is the source of a calamity in the states, because when they sneak through that southern border. Um, yeah, that's always concerning. So 6 minutes to full rolling ball, not bad. That's propane. Hey, Oki snuck in on me. I see her name being mentioned. Yeah, and if you're going to be traveling, it doesn't hurt to have friends in other cities. Right now, if I go to Houston, I go to Austin, I go to Dallas, I go to San Antonio, I have people I can call if I get caught there, who could give me at least a landing strip for 48 hours for me to figure out how to get home. So, yeah, but definitely you want to start thinking, if you have to move, if you've got to go, Yeah, you want to have a place to go. And by the way, to Red's point, the US is going to be in triple digits, like almost all of it, except for like two parts in the Northeast and the Northwest. Watch your hydration. Remember your electrolytes. Don't do what I did and stick yourself in the hospital because you waited too long to drink water and you got sick. So be careful. And I working on the solar. I actually got my solar panels in for the big Jackery, so I'm very happy, and they're still in the box. Um, After they were inspected by my mod squad over there, um, I was working at the office today, and then I came home and I set up in the home office, and they camped out here and they haven't moved in the last hour. They're all passed out. Yeah, always have a source to lean on, and if you don't, at least know places you can get shelter. Ooh, I don't know about that. If the cops catch him, he'll go to jail. He can't do it on the other side of the border. The federales will get him. Yeah, I know they are sleeping on the job. Well, UPS came early, so they've already done battle with UPS. Um, Amazon came as well, so I don't know if we're going to get more trucks to rile them up. But I want to talk about something China's got going on because China, I think they screwed something up because we're all talking about, our economy here, and they've done, you remember the bank riots they had like 2 weeks ago where they said, oh, you can't get your money out, and the people got pissed and they started fighting with the cops. Well, now another city basically started mini revolting. I'm going to see. Let me know if you have the audio here, guys. Make sure I'm doing this right.
Embattled property sector, not only are home buyers refusing to pay their mortgages, developers' bonds are plummeting. Analysts warn that these could ripple through, affect Chinese banks and threaten social mobility. Chinese media say 46,000 buyers of $5.2 billion worth of properties are stopping payments to protest against unfinished projects. And for more, Lo Min Min joins us from Shanghai. Well, Min Min, quite a dramatic development. Will regulators let these buyers default on their mortgages, given the implications on China's property and banks, as well as the broader economy?
In the past, Chinese courts had typically been not very friendly towards people who default on their mortgages, and lawyers say that this could trigger a bad credit rating on their records. But as recently as February this year, there had been a case in Zhejiang province where the courts sided with the home buyers instead of with the banks, and it remains to be seen how the government will intervene this time and whether they will step in to protect home buyers' interests. Now, this story is trending here in China, given how widespread it is. Home buyers in 22 cities organizing collectively to stop paying mortgages. And according to one report, that could amount to $83 billion in non-performing loans that could trigger a liquidity crisis among the smaller banks. And one brokerage analyst is putting the future of bad debt rate in the banking sector at 4 to 5% instead of the current 1 to 2%. But another economist, though, told me that it's difficult to ascertain the real impact of this crisis, given how difficult it is to verify how much bad debt there really is. Now, the worst affected city is Zhengzhou City in central China, where nearly 30% of houses are facing delivery delays. And that's sparking great outcry among home buyers here. I just got off the phone with one who told me that he had put his entire life savings, along with borrowings from friends and relatives, into purchasing a home that's supposed to be ready by now. But mid last year, construction had stopped. And despite petitioning the government for it, construction had not resumed. And he said that he, along with some 20 other residents, had moved into this incomplete building that has no piping and water facilities. They are showering in public washrooms because they can no longer afford to keep renting another home elsewhere.
Well, thanks for that, Lo Min Min there in Shanghai.
So you guys catch that? This is China now saying that, so these people either they put their payments down on a home to be built, And a home for them, it could be either a house or it could be like a condo, like, in those high-rise apartments, which is very popular over there. Um, the folks, basically 22 cities, all these home buyers and renters collectively decided we're not paying. And now the banks are freaking out. So now the government has to get involved. Um, that's a ballsy move, guys, because we all know that China will go and beat up, protesters and shit in the street. But 22 cities worth of, and there are cops and military involved in that number, where their houses are in jeopardy too. According to one report I read, there's a city that literally, it was, what was it? It was 6 buildings. It must have been 800 units collectively in all these big buildings, and none of them were completed. People were living in them without water and proper electricity. It was kind of rigged up. People are getting pissed. Uh, yeah. And I think that's right, Mad Dog. I think we're only hearing a tidbit of it. I think there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that China's desperately trying to clamp down. The problem is, you have 1 billion people with 1 billion freaking cell phones. You know what I mean? There's so many ways for people to get news out. And even if they bust one, but that's unheard of. 22 cities collectively all doing the same thing at the same time. That tells you something. The people are pissed. Now, if we backtrack a little bit, in the UK, we had, what's his face? Boris Johnson had to step down because he was being a pervert, or somebody in his circle was a pervert. I don't remember all the details. Angela Merkel stepped down. Who's the French knucklehead? I just blanked out. We need Sparkle Socks in Canada to go away because he's pretty useless. Our president shaking hands with the heir, and we're just seeing these people, Merkel, Macron. I'm sorry, I finally remembered his name. Merkel, Macron. You've got a lot of these leaders are stepping down. They just ran the president out of Sri Lanka. Um, it's gonna be weird. BlackRock was trying. They were grabbing up houses as people defaulted during Rona, and they basically ruined Airbnb, these guys. But yeah, they've got their hands on a lot of properties. And 275-gallon totes. It doesn't even rain enough to fill up a 2.7-gallon tote here sometimes. Yeah, that's a good point, Joe. Uh, they've and the Chinese culture used to be very agrarian, and they forced everyone into the cities under, Chairman Mao's great community philosophy, and they just screwed up the city. They also have a 4-to-1 male to female ratio, which has spawned female trafficking from the Koreas and from the Philippines and other places, so that these guys can find wives. So this is Bojo clown shoes. Mitterrand. Okay. Yeah, we need to get rid of Sparkle Socks. He needs to step down without a doubt. Um, how to make Adobe bricks? That's right. And nature, the courses of nature, have been the nail in the coffin for several empires throughout history. So, hey, thank you, Red. I appreciate that. And my style, man. I'm trying to present what could be happening, but there's so many. You can have so many different takes on that. Uh, hold on. This, Unknown persons wanting my house. Yeah, I get those too. So I've been sending the middle finger emoji back at him to see if I get a response, and nobody responds. So I'm kind of sad now. I'm like the dog who barked at someone and the guy didn't run, and now I don't know what to do. So I've seen dirtbag houses. No, and then you know what will ultimately happen is they're going to lose the party. And I'm going to show you another video out of China. I have a feeling, and I could be wrong, guys. I'm just looking at little data points, but I'm seeing a trend. A few weeks ago, I pointed out, hey, they ran the Sri Lankan president out. Ecuador's having riots. We could see that trend of governments getting kicked in the ass by their own people, or basically the leaders are like, all right, you want me out, I'm out, I'm done, I'm resigning. And now they have to find a new parliament. Um, so all the world. Again, I'm going to have to play back some of these chats because those would be such great t-shirts, man. I don't know where I could sell them because they're probably inappropriate for families, but God. But I'm going to share this one. Thank you, Joe. I had a weird week, so that was really well needed. Uh, hey, Lucky, welcome back. Uh, I want to share this one. So this is from WION. I love this channel. This is a channel out of India because they give zero shits. They will blow up anybody, and I think it's awesome. So they'll blow up Americans, they'll blow up the Russians, the Chinese, zero shits. So I'm going to play this because I just showed you this mortgage crisis. Now this happened about a week and a half ago, but it's in line with the same thing. So let me know if you have audio.
The regulators are now stating that customers of rural Chinese banks whose withdrawals have been frozen will begin to get some money back. China's rural banking sector has been hit hard by Beijing's efforts to rein in a property bubble and spiraling debt. In a financial crackdown that has had ripple effects across the world's second largest economy. Now, 4 banks in China's Henan province froze cash withdrawals in mid-April in the face of regulatory scrutiny into alleged mismanagement, leaving thousands of depositors without funds and sparking demonstrations. 10th of July 2022 witnessed one of the largest rallies of its kind, where hundreds gathered outside a branch of the People's Bank of China in Henan's capital, Zhengzhou, demanding their money. Protests prompted a harsh official response, with demonstrators forced onto buses by police and beaten by plainclothes men. Both groups hit each other and pushed each other away. A large group of security personnel in plain clothes and uniforms were at the scene. According to analysts, the Henan Bank scandal, in which $6 billion in deposits disappeared, is more than a Chinese banking crisis. It is a political crisis that could undermine the people's confidence in local governments and also other local banks. The Henan banks are among a wave of small local financial institutions hit by cash flow and management woes. The Anhui province also announced that it would begin repaying the deposits of some customers of a Bengbu city bank after online complaints and reports of frozen withdrawals surfaced. Protests are rare in the tightly controlled China, but desperate citizens have occasionally succeeded in organizing mass gatherings, usually when their targets are local governments or individual corporations. The scandal should alarm investors not simply because of the brutal tactics used by the local authorities eager to cover it up, but because of the circumstances under which these small banks failed. And if a large number of small banks fail together, such an event could produce a chain reaction threatening the stability of the financial sector. Their counterparties and lenders, especially bigger banks, could suffer massive losses.
These people are pissed.
We are now available in your country.
So, yeah, there's something not right in China. I could be off. They could just be having a miserable time, but at the very least, the states were pretty transparent, right? Whether you agree or disagree, we're like, we all agree we got inflation, right? We take pictures of it and post it. That country's been locked down for generations. And for the people to go out there and and have fistfights with security and cops, they're at the point where going to jail might be an upgrade. And and that is that is scary, because and that I would hope the people in Beijing are paying attention to this. Um, wait, I lost track. There was a conversation about the price of gold, and I lost track of it here. Mm-hmm. Now that's assuming the somebody in the government doesn't do something. But yeah, that's but again, to your point, Rip, if they're starving and their kids are dying, well, you may as well shoot me. I'm gonna die either way. But they're gonna want to die angry. And I think we're starting to see they if they can't get a handle on this, they're gonna have a problem. And I don't know how bad it's gonna get. But this is what I'm saying, guys. I mean, now that we're seeing it in China, that and our president went overseas to meet foreign leaders. That was kind of an embarrassment. Um, the people who've led us here are systemically getting kicked out of power. The problem is they've screwed up the system so badly that it wouldn't surprise me if the system drops on everyone's head. And that's something we need to watch. Remember, I'd said the canaries in the cave, right? The little countries, the Ecuadors, the what was the other country? The Nigeria, the Angolas. Then it goes into the mid-level economies like the Sri Lankas, uh, the Argentinas, and now we're starting to see it in the big countries. Right now, it's China, uh, the UK. We're struggling with interest rates, and yeah, and that's assuming a lot of these soldiers may if ultimate be they have families too. They may be like, well, my kids are hungry too. Why are we helping these guys? uh the China we know today was actually what, several different countries. It was Mongolia, China, um Hunan. God, I can't remember the old names before they got consolidated. It was like 4 or 5 different nations. So who knows? They may and that is one of the things I was going to get to. Drop got ahead of me, and this is absolutely right. When governments start to fail, they get into recessions. A great way to get out of a recession is war. The book 1984, War is Peace. Sounds contradictory. Well, if your people are at war with someone else, they're not fighting at home, so you have peace at home because we're killing someone else. That's what that meant. And as far as the October, November, um, but they have to get across that ocean, and that even with their numbers, that could still be a logistical challenge, because I'm pretty confident the Taiwanese are not going to be very happy about that. Um, Bonnie, depends where you are, and just when we can collaborate on that for a bit. So in my area, I know within a 2-hour drive, we have solar, we have wind, we have a refinery, we have oil and gas, we have an airfield, multiple National Guard armories, and two big ass Air Force bases. Like this, you could carve off a whole little chunk of Texas and turn the lights on there and then work your way out. Down on the coast, down by Corpus, you got nuke plants. If the army can keep control of the nuke plant, you keep the lights on the coast. And also we have a lot of technical people, equipment, heavy equipment, construction equipment, generators. So depending on where you are, if you have those technical resources, we often talk about resources like water, food, pews, but technical resources, bulldozers, semis, tractors, those could come in really handy to start rebuilding. Yeah, definitely. Uncle Potato Head. I don't know why he's sending fuel to China, because they don't have an excuse saying, "Oh, well, we're sending oil to China to be refined," because the refineries that actually can handle the U.S. intermediate crude are in Europe and Middle East, and the refineries to handle Middle East fuel is in the U.S. and Middle East. So you'd be sending it to the east of the U.S., not to the west. So I don't know why they're sending it there. It's good. It's bad that it took something like that to give them a heart attack. Um, but it's good that they're paying attention. Um, who knows? Maybe it was one person in the New York Emergency Management said, "I'm going to do everyone a favor and scare the shit out of everyone just so they pay attention," and probably got himself fired doing it. But Hidden Banks, and possibly, but then that speaks to a hell of a lot of mismanagement on the part of the government. Where's the oversight? The bottom line is it's not like their central government had food trucks saying, "Okay, look, you can't get your stuff out of the bank. I get it, but come here and we'll distribute food, we'll distribute water, we'll help you get by." There was no gesture to the people. They sent the guys in the black polo shirts to have fistfights. Uh, I don't doubt that, but there's more to it. And I bet you half the politicians get a piece of that too. Um, yeah, and to Heroic's point again, it's unfortunate it took something like that for people to pay attention, and they may be behind the curve now, big time. But I got another one for you. Hold on, I lost. I believe it was Rip or Drop had put out a comment now just saying that when countries get hey Loretta, welcome. Hey Farmer Son. I'm sorry, Virginia Bushcraft. A few of you jumped in here and I missed you. Hello, hello. Let me see if I can get this article up. Okay, here it is. This is from The Guardian out of the UK. Not a video, it's just an article. And so now China's starting to have these domestic issues, right? There's something not right. Oh, yeah, I didn't even want to go into the Mr. I've never been on a drilling rig, but I'm the on the board of companies in Ukraine and China that have energy in them. That first of all, the guy has no teeth. Oh, that freaking dude. Ugh, ugh. Every time I see that guy, it's like somebody bathed that man, like literally send him to a bath area. Oof. Yeah, that's like that dude that when the daughter brings that boyfriend home and it looks like that one, dad just punches him in the face. Like you don't even shake his hand, just punch him. Be done with him. Ugh, freaking that I can't even imagine being around that and the smell, this crackhead hobo smell. So I got off on a tangent about somebody's son. Anyway, This is going to that topic about China having internal problems and wanting to start conflict, abusing China's restraints. So Beijing is trying to put an air base in the Solomon Islands, which would put them very close to Australia. That would be like the Russians putting an air base in Cuba, like that kind of 200-mile, 300-mile window. Smeared arm. Hunter's mouth looks like a chitlin smeared armpit. Man, I don't. They just need to put one of those deodorant pine things you put in the teenager's car, but around him. Like he needs to wear it as a necklace. Anyway, China's accused Australia of provocation in the South China Sea, and that they, along with the US and Canada, must refrain from abusing China's restraint. So they're already talking smack. They've got people rioting in the street, but they're talking smack to Australia so that they can tell their people that bad Australians are doing these things. Again, it's they're I think they're redirecting attention. 20.7 grams. I saw that. I saw now it's a meme. Oh, but you know what? Drunk driving's not a felony. The president said so. Wait, 500,000 what? I lost track of something. Is somebody major power to go into Africa and take all that gold? I'm not worried so much about the gold. I'm worried about the damn rare earth minerals that are there, like titanium, tungsten, all that stuff. You want to have electric cars with none of those metals. Good luck to that. What's the 500,000 question? I think I lost track of a question here. No, and I absolutely agree with you. Oh, here we go. How many Chinese Central America right this minute? DUI is a felony. Come on, man. Yeah. Well, apparently it's not because Beto like drove drunk and hit a dude and put a guy in a hospital and had a wreck and ran away. And now he wants to be president and senator and governor. I mean, talk about if ever there was privilege in a dude, it's Francis O'Rourke. And that's another one. At least he has teeth. I'll give him credit. He has that bougie smile like a bad looking Ken doll. But I don't like that one's a pendejo too. You can keep him. Beto's a puto. Hunter's ugly. They can all go away. I don't like them all. There you go. Yeah, Beto is special. So people who started going into, by the way, people who started going into his Facebook posts and putting, be quiet, beta. They're pissing people off. I thought that was great when I saw that. Here's another one. Again, China's got something going on. So this one's on CNN. Let me see if the video comes up. Because now this is no longer a government question on the big scale. It's a question of people being able to feed their families and their kids. And yeah, militant, yeah, it can be depressing too, for sure. Let's see. Okay, so in theory, this guy will, let me see. No, there's no dude. Oh, there he is. Okay, let's see. Let me know if you can hear the audio for this one. Oh, I guess
workers in Beijing. They congregate in labor markets like this, waiting day and night for a job. This man tells me he lost his job because his factory shut down during the pandemic.
He's saying that it's harder to find work, the pay isn't good.
He's been here for 4 days, waiting
Can you hear
16
that?
hours every day in the heat for a job, and still hasn't found one. It's probably because of the pandemic, he says. China's zero COVID policy has inflicted devastating economic pain, grinding entire cities to a halt for months, shutting down communities over a single
there's those
COVID
damn
case.
walls they put around the apartments so you can't
This
get
was
out.
one of Beijing's most popular bar and restaurant areas, packed with people. Now, so many businesses are empty or have permanently closed down. They're unable to survive these on and off lockdowns with no end in sight.
Unemployment is soaring. People aren't earning as much, so they aren't spending as much. But even saving has become a risky bet. Since April, Brian hasn't been able to access several million RMB that he deposited in a small bank in Henan, China. We are referring to him only as Brian due to fears for his safety.
Was that your life savings?
Yeah, for sure. I worked almost 10 years, and that's all I have with my family. I'm losing my weight. I'm losing my, my mind.
He's one of hundreds of thousands of depositors, according to state media, across China currently fighting to recover their savings from several banks in rural central China. Many of them, including Brian, traveled to Henan for answers. In June, he says they protested outside the local government building for 5 days straight. Brian traveled back to Henan in July, joining a large-scale peaceful protest. But police violently quashed the protesters. Videos show security officers dragging protesters down the stairs, beating anyone who resisted, including women and the elderly, according to witnesses, leaving some of them injured, bloodied, and bruised. A day after the violent protests, local authorities promised to start giving small payments to some depositors, but it's unclear how many people are eligible and how much they'll pay back.
Are you worried that without this money, you can't afford a comfortable life for your family?
Definitely. All my savings is gone. And I just had my little baby. I have nothing for the family now.
They cry and wail, exhausted. There's nothing these depositors can do. Authorities say they're investigating the cases, but experts worry this is just the tip of the iceberg.
I would be really surprised if you didn't see this spread in a lot of different provinces. The country has enormous debt problems and very slow growth. This is the worst shape the economy has been in probably since about 30, 40 years ago.
For Brian, his vision of China is already shattered.
Suddenly one day, all you earned is gone. Then you feel that why do you still fight for it? Fight for the future.
He's hoping to one day leave and raise his child far away from China. Selena Wang, CNN, Beijing.
And for an economy like that, a nation like that, that big, to have this bad a problem that quickly, he can't feed his kid. He can't buy groceries. Yeah. And so, these are the kind of things that we're seeing, and we've seen it in the small countries. This is really the first large one. I mean, we have inflation in Europe, we have inflation here, we had inflation in China, and Russia and Ukraine are a whole different story. But look at that trend. It started small countries. People in the streets rioting, they couldn't get their money, they couldn't buy food. Then it got worse and worse, and then they kicked their leader out. Then it went to the bigger countries, and now it's going to big countries. This is not a small nation. These watch those kind of trends, because you start seeing those parts move. It gives you some lead time. To Heroic Prepper's point earlier, that it took a nuclear alert public safety announcement to freak everyone out enough for them to start actually prepping shit. That there's going to be, and they're paying attention now, there are going to be a lot more that don't. They're going to complain, oh, they scared me, and then they're going to keep doing what they do. I've noticed preppers, since I really started watching the YouTube channels and all, we're anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, maybe 10 weeks ahead of the curve. We'll start talking about stuff really heavily in the channels, and it'll hit the mainstream media about 2-3 months later. It's like that 2 to 3 month window where we start picking up these trends before the public notices it, and then they freak out and buy all the toilet paper. So watch those trends, because you start seeing banks here go down. You start seeing banks in Europe not give people their money. People can't buy food at all. That's going to get ugly. So, yeah. Tied to a cooler to get here. This is why. Yeah. It's some elitist vision that they're willing to sacrifice human lives for, because there are too many of us anyway. Yeah, I absolutely get what you're saying, Militant. I haven't seen that one yet. I'll have to look at it later. Yeah, find a way to secure valuables. Have a little bit of cash. Now, cash will work until it doesn't work. So it doesn't hurt to have some cash. Even eventually, if the economy collapses, you can use the cash for the first couple of weeks before something crashes. So at least you have it. You can get what you need while it's affordable. Before we have what happened in Germany during the Great Depression, where the guy had like buckets of Reichmarks in his bucket, but all these dollars, but they were worthless. Watch for these trends, but China's got something going on. We think we have problems here, but we have, I don't trust it all, but we have relative transparency here, right? People can speak out, broadcast from both sides of the fence, but China can't. They normally don't. And for this kind of stuff to be getting out, it's got to be 10 times worse behind the scenes, just like it was for the Rona. We're just not seeing it. So watch this trend, guys, because this is now the first of the really big countries I'm seeing where the people are now riding against the establishment in a big way. Not two sides fighting one another, but they're fighting the leadership. So if they don't get a handle on this somehow pretty quick, they're going to have a problem, and that's going to precipitate. So yeah, we are the new media, and by no means am I any kind of good reporter, but we're watching, we're looking at the trends, we're seeing the stuff out there. So yeah, be sure you guys growing tobacco. See, that's good stuff. How much longer? Yeah. It's hard to say. All you can do when it comes to this stuff, obviously China's far away from us, right? But look at those trends. We can learn from their mistakes. So if we see things happening here in the UK, wherever you guys live, and you see it starting to happen locally, you'll know, wow, I need to take action. Hey, Alan, something's not right, and I need to redirect. I need to change course to do the right thing. So watch for this stuff, and watch China, because if China has this many issues, it's going to go one of two ways. Either A, they're going to have so many issues internally, they're going to not be able to screw with anyone else because they're going to have to battle themselves. or B, they're going to be, well, we need to distract our people, so let's go and pick a fight with someone. And that's the one I worry about more, that they're going to try and distract the populace by starting a war somewhere. And right now, all the countries are pissed off at each other. It will not be like it was in World War II. There will be countries all over the map fighting with each other. With all these overlapping alliances, I don't even know what side some will be on. So hopefully that's not the course of action that happens. But if China gets desperate enough, they may. They're struggling right now, guys, because the evidence is there, and we're only seeing a bit of it. Yeah, well, we try a little bit more when they. Well, you know what's funny, Red? Most of the immigrants I met here are not fans of this woke, stupid. They're like, that's not what we. That's why our country became broken. That's why we're here now. Yeah. Yeah. But folks, pay attention to those trends. Pay attention to the way things are going in the economy. All right. We're seeing them now, but right now it's just painful inflation, uh, you know, supply chain issues, this more generic shit. What you really need to be paying attention to is situations like I just showed in China, where they are outright defying the government and 22 cities coordinating at the same time. If that doesn't get Beijing's attention, I don't know what will. But we could see things here. If they bring the interest rates up too high, they're going to flatten the market or collapse it. And we're going to start seeing people here in the States default on their home loans, default on their mortgages. And it could get ugly. It could get very ugly, folks. So, as always, make sure you have enough food to get through, at the very least, if you're new to this stuff, at least get through a week to where you can sit down, watch what's happening, and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Make sure you have some cash. Cash is useful until it's not, like I said earlier. So regardless of whether or not the banks start to fail, if you have the cash at home, at least enough to get groceries, to get gas, to get some amenities, try to have them in your house. Buy them now and stay on your budget, folks. Don't go outside the budget. What you want to do, even if you can't pay off all your debt, is minimize your debt profile so you're not a big target, right? You can negotiate a small credit card. It's harder to negotiate if you have, 50,000 in credit cards. That's much harder to negotiate. So, and be systemic. Do the baby preps when you go. So, Bonnie, like to your point, if you're out there, you're getting cans of green beans, you need 4 for your recipe, get 6. The extra $2 won't kill you. And do it piece by piece. You may also want to talk to other folks and see if you guys can collaborate and make a big bulk purchase at Sam's. Say you can even buy a pallet from Sam's or HEB or other stores, and then say, okay, everyone pays in $100, and then you divvy up at the store. You get the pallet delivered, and everyone shows up and takes their portion. So, yeah. No, and you gotta have money to get cash, of course. But you can also have things to trade. Like someone pointed out earlier, they're growing tobacco, you're growing crops, you have a skill set, you're a good seamstress, or you're a good home chef, or you know how to take care of animals. You can exchange skill set for currency or for food if it gets ugly. But again, try to stay ahead of the curve, guys, because we're seeing it. I pointed it out in the last few weeks. Again, it started with the Ecuador, it started with Nigeria, Angola, then it moved to the mid-level countries, Sri Lanka, Argentina, and now we're starting to see it manifest itself in China, of all places. Well, folks, I'm going to call it here. Like I mentioned earlier, I started the live early because I had to jump to another event later today. But I wanted to wish all of you the best. Guys, just pay attention. Don't panic about this. That's China's problem. But watch those patterns and try to keep ahead of those curves. If you see things happening a certain way, you kind of know the course of action you can take. All this is, it should inform you enough to make a good decision. So guys, be safe, take care of yourselves. Godspeed if you're on the road. And yeah, Germany will be another one. Drop just put in the chat. Germany will be another interesting one. So y'all be careful out there. God bless. And hopefully we will see you all Saturday-ish, I think. And I got 2 premieres coming up later this week, so keep an eye out for those as well. You guys be safe out there. Be careful.